Download. Review. Quickie!
Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, Jetstream Sam Campaign DLC. Ready, set, go!
The DLC is a prequel to the story of Metal Gear Rising, and it tells about Samuel Rodriguez's recruitment into Desperado LLC, as it was a foretold plan from Senator Armstrong. You play the level through the sewers of Denver, Colorado in order to come through World Marshal and to take down Armstrong and the private military company he is controlling. Within the level, you come across the Desperado soldiers and have 3 boss fights with Blade Wolf in his original LQ-84I form, a Metal Gear Ray unit, and Senator Armstrong himself, and that fight with the Senator is just as cheap, if not more so, than the full game. Throughout the level, you go through the sewers in World Marshal HQ with fighting enemies and looking for sub-weapons as well as restoration items to keep Sam on his toes. Not to mention, there are locked boxes that give you upgrades to your health and blade mode energy, but you can restore them with the proper items as well as collecting the electrolyte units to replenish you at full health when performing the Zandatsu mechanic. There are many computers along the level, and they give Sam the ability to try out VR missions from the get-go, instead of just unlocking them to access through the VR missions mode. Upon completion, will give you an upgrade to your health or electrolyte energy. The standard gameplay remains intact like the main campaign, but the most interesting thing about Jetstream Sam is that he plays more the archetype of a samurai and not a ninja like Raiden. So he doesn't have the ability to auto-leap over ledges when running at lightning-fast speed, so you have him act more realistic with his maneuvers during the platforming. But probably the one thing that he can do that Raiden cannot is charging his sword with the strong attack button to unleash a powerful blow onto his foes. It comes in handy when you need to deplete the energy of some of the tougher foes you come across later on. Level design remains intact with what you saw from the main campaign of Revengeance, but there are some places that were not accessible the first time around, like the arena where you fight the Ray unit, so there's a bit more variety than just recycling material already used. The detail is still solid like the original game, and the gameplay is there from what you would expect. The sound also remains with newer dialogue added in for the DLC and a song that hasn't been used when fighting against Armstrong. Now the final thing you all want to know is if the DLC is worth the money. Sadly, the answer is no. The DLC itself is one huge recycle of assets that we have seen in the main game, and the story for the DLC doesn't really add anything groundbreaking to the already confusing plot that Metal Gear Rising delivered. If you're a huge fan of the original game, then that will be your calling card to purchase the DLC, but for those who wanted to know if it was worth the money, or for those who didn't really enjoy Revengeance at all, then just stay away. Not to mention, the DLC is pretty short, as you can beat it in about an hour, or a little bit longer if you take the VR missions instead.
The final verdict for the Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance Jetstream Sam Campaign DLC is a 6 out of 10.